WBC and WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the world.
We'll be talking live to London's undisputed world champion. Now, and London's David Haye didn't hang around last night to prove he is the best cruiserweight boxer in the world. He demolished Swansea's Enzo Maccarinelli in just 2 rounds at the O2 Arena to claim his 3rd world title belt. And I'm delighted to say that David and all 3 of the belts are here with me in the studio. But before I have a chat with you, David, Toby Sadler is going to talk through the biggest fight of your life.
David Haye boasted the fight would be a massacre, and after a cagey first round in the second, he put his money, or at least his fists, where Enzo Maccarinelli's mouth was. The Welshman tried to carry on, but hardly able to stand. The referee had to step in. The victory means Bermondsey-born Haye has nothing left to prove at cruiserweight.
He is now the unified WBA, WBC, and WBO Cruiserweight Champion of the world.
27-year-old Haye is recognised as one of the world's most explosive fighters, but has always had trouble getting down to the correct weight. His solution: put on muscle and target the world heavyweight crown. And with punching power like this, who'd argue against him taking it? Toby Sadler, London Tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, London Tonight rather proudly presents the undisputed world cruiserweight champion. Thank you so much for coming in. Firstly, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was a massive, massive night for me. You know, fighting at the O2 Arena in Greenwich, South London, where I was born and bred. You know, going out there, 20,000 of my fans screaming for me. It was an amazing night.
Was that important to you to be doing it before a home crowd?
Definitely. My last fight was against Jean-Marc Mormec in Levallois on the outskirts of Paris. You know, that was when I won 2 of my title belts. And I was in the guy's hometown, 6,000 French, you know, booing me, cheering their man on. But I went into his home turf, knocked him out, and I won the undisputed title there. But this time round, to pick up another title off a fellow Brit, you know, it was really nice. You know, it was a dream. It was a dream fight for me.
Well, I've just been looking at the belts. You had the WBA and the WBC.
That's
you picked
correct,
up the WBO last night.
That's right. Yeah. So to bring all the titles together. Also, I've got the Ring Magazine belt, which they give to every weight. There's one champion who has that belt, who's regarded as undisputably the best fighter in the world. So, you know, there's nothing left for me to prove at cruiserweight. It's time to move up to heavyweight and finish off where Lennox Lewis left off. You know, Lennox Lewis retired. He's been a bit of a void in the heavyweight division. No one's got any power. Anybody comes to really put it on the line, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there, go and beat all those Russians and Americans and bring those titles back to London.
Now, I'm not a boxing expert, as you probably realised, but how big a step is that, to go from cruiserweight to...
It's massive, you know. I've got to go out there, I've got to do a lot of weight training, I've got to eat a lot more food, I've got to fight guys who are 2 or 3 stone heavier than myself, so I've got to make sure my skills are really, really up to scratch, because all it takes in heavyweight is 1 punch, and you're knocked unconscious. So I've got my defence has got to be impeccable. I've got to be in the best physical shape all the time. You know, because I'll be smaller than these guys. My skill set will have to be that much higher, and it's a tough task, but I definitely feel I can do it.
You've been building up this skill set, as you said, for many, many years, and we're going to be a little unfair to you now. We're going to show you some pictures we have of you from 1999.
Okay.
There you are, boxing as an amateur.
Yeah.
How important were the skills you learned there to the way you fought last night?
That was my grounding, really. That's where I learned my trade. I boxed for the international English team when I was 17 years old, fighting world-ranked Americans, Russians, Cubans. So I learned a lot of my stuff in the amateur game. I got a silver medal at the World Championships, the first ever British fighter to get to the finals of the World Championship. So I had a real good amateur career. But you know, I've gone one better in the professionals and become #1 in the world. It's all about doing what only one other fighter's done before me, Evander Holyfield, who happens to be in the country at the moment. He went from the cruiserweight and won the undisputed heavyweight title. So only one guy in history has done it before. I definitely want to be the second guy to do that.
Clearly, it was a very, very popular win last night.
Yeah.
Were you aware of the crowds and the way they were shouting?
No, it's quite surreal. I went from the hotel room. I spent the whole day all relaxed, you know, watching boxing on TV, and then I sort of got into the car, got to the venue, went round the back, so I didn't see any of the crowd in the hotel room. Went straight out there, down the tunnel, saw 20,000 people screaming for me in the ring, had a fight, back to the changing room, back to the hotel, and here I am now.
With 3 belts. Well, listen, congratulations from all of us.
Much.
Fantastic win.
Cheers.
Thank you, David.
We're going to take a little break from talking football, as we've been joined in the studio by a very special guest indeed. WBO and WBA and WBC cruiserweight title holder David Haye. It's a lot to say, isn't it? I mean, how greedy is that? We've got all the belts on the table. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I think it's been described as awesome, I think is probably the best description.
That's fair. I'll go along with that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of mind games beforehand, wasn't
there?
Yeah,
It was ton. Boxing's it's a mental game. You know, you're trying to break your opponent down before the fight. You know, a lot of people anticipated me really struggling to make the weight, so I came in a couple of pounds under, trying to, you know, no one knew what to make of it. They didn't know whether I was really weight drained or whether I'd make the weight really comfortably. You know, people who put a lot of money on me winning then started putting it on him and vice versa. So it's a nice bit of a build-up. No one knew what was going on.
What was the difference between, obviously, the preparation for this one, which obviously went a lot better than the last one, because it seemed like you looked strong this time.
I felt like an animal, and I really did. Before the Mormek fight, I trained, I was just 17, 18 weeks, a solid training camp, and for some reason, obviously I'm a naturally big guy. I'm around 16.5 stone naturally. I came down, but I had to really take a lot of weight off late because I couldn't get the weight down in time. But after the Mormek fight, I went straight back into training camp and just carried on training. So literally it was 9 months. I was actually in training 6 days a week, twice a day for 9 months. So that's, if you want to lose some weight, is the way to do it.
One of the things, I mean, you admitted the fact that you were in serious trouble after that first fight. It was terribly different, you know, to the whole point of, you know, you pushed your body beyond the brink. One of the things that I heard you saying was the fact that the Maccarinelli camp sort of came out as soon as you suddenly said, I found it so hard to make the weight. Suddenly, they did want to take on the fight.
So it worked. I exaggerated it slightly.
Talk about mind games. I think you did your own fair share.
I'm the master of mind games, and it all worked out great in the end, you know, and I sort of let it be known before the fight that that's what happened. So particularly for the weigh-in, I said that I haven't had any weight problems, had a little drink before I got on the scales. Everyone's like, what's going on here? Came in 2 pounds under, the lightest I've been for years. For a long, long time.
How much did you put on after that?
I didn't put on that much weight because I didn't dehydrate myself.
All I did you'd actually lost the weight rather than having
literally, as you could saw from the weigh-in, there was nothing on me.
For the last one, you'd lost something like 15 pounds
in a real
24
close
hours
time.
or 48 hours or something ridiculous.
It's not healthy. It's not the safest way to be. And as you can see from that performance, it was, you know, I wasn't as sharp, I wasn't as fast, my timing wasn't as good. But this time round, we got it just right, and we had to because Maccarinelli's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong; he's the second best fighter in the world, obviously besides myself. So I had to be 100% for that fight, and I was. Yeah.
Well, just talk us through all these beautiful belts that we have on the table, because we can get a few nice shots of them.
Yeah,
so
right. We've got the Ring Magazine belt here. This is like an independent belt.
That's this one.
There's only 6 fighters in the world that have this belt. Joe Calzaghe's got this belt, who fights Bernard Hopkins. So they're unified.
Do you keep that, or is that given to you once a year?
No, this is given to the person who wins it, because like
Mormek had his own belt. Where they Indian givers and they take it back.
No, I didn't know whether or not it was sort of like you were the best at that.
This is mine to keep, because I beat the guy who had this belt. I get it. He keeps his old one. I get this one. And now that I'm moved up to heavyweight, so I am officially and unofficially the main man at cruiserweight. So I have this belt, the WBC belt. This is the original belt, the one that Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, all the greats I had. The second one was the other one that I won beat from Mornek was the WBA, and the nice new one that I took from Enzo Maccarinelli early this morning. That's the fresh belt. So I've got all the belts now.
Well, let's have a look at the action from the fight, because it really was quite spectacular. As I said, described as awesome. This is the second round. First round we're looking at now.
Just feeling each other out.
Yeah, just measuring out. I knew what I've always known that I was better than Enzo Maccarinelli. Just a lot of people, a lot of experts that actually really tipped Enzo to not only beat me but to knock me out. They thought he had a better pedigree. They thought his coach Enzo Calzaghe would have made the difference. But me and Adam Booth knew the fight was won as soon as we signed the contract for the fight. The toughest thing about this fight was getting the contract signed. Because as soon as myself and Enzo Maccarinelli get in the ring, it was only ever going to be one winner, and that was the Hayemaker.
Do you know what?